If you're watching this right now, pay close attention, because what I'm about to reveal could change the way you see her completely. These are the hidden signs of disrespect that prove she secretly hates you, and most men completely miss them. Before we dive in, I want to know, which city are you watching this from? Drop it in the comment box below. And if you haven't already, make sure to hit that subscribe button and turn on notifications, because you don't want to miss the life-changing insights coming up in this video. Sign 1. Her tone turns cold and mocking. When a woman begins to secretly hate you, her voice changes long before her words do. The warmth that once lived in her tone starts to die out. The laughter that used to sound genuine now feels hollow, mechanical, and almost rehearsed. You'll notice it in the way she talks to you. Not what she says, but how she says it. Her tone becomes edged with sarcasm, laced with quiet disdain. She doesn't shout or argue. She mocks, belittles, and disguises her disrespect behind humor. She may roll her eyes mid-conversation, respond with half-hearted uh-huhs, or add that sharp smirk when you try to express yourself. That smirk isn't amusement. It's superiority disguised as playfulness. It's her way of showing that she no longer sees you as someone worthy of emotional respect. Female psychology is subtle, and emotional withdrawal doesn't always come with loud explosions. When a woman starts resenting you, she doesn't always argue. Instead, she begins to communicate through tone and micro-expressions. Her body language shifts first. Crossed arms, minimal eye contact, and a sense of distance even when she's standing right in front of you. The warmth in her tone was once her emotional investment. Now, the coldness is her silent protest. Every joke becomes an insult with a laugh to soften it. Every "just kidding" carries a hidden message. She no longer values your presence the same way she once did. At first, you might dismiss it. You might think she's just tired, stressed, or distracted. But over time, you realize it's consistent. The teasing becomes sharper, the conversation shorter, and the emotional tone flatter. She's no longer trying to make you feel good. She's trying to feel nothing around you. Her goal isn't connection, it's control. That mocking tone becomes her defense mechanism, a psychological wall to keep you at a distance. She uses sarcasm as a weapon because it allows her to hurt without taking accountability. She can always say, "I was just joking," but you can feel the venom underneath. This cold tone is how she tests boundaries. She's watching how much disrespect you're willing to tolerate. Female psychology thrives on emotional feedback. If you react strongly, she knows you still care. If you let it slide, she starts losing more respect, because in her mind, silence equals weakness. The more you ignore the shift in tone, the deeper her hidden resentment grows. You'll hear it when she starts speaking to others more kindly than she speaks to you. You'll feel it when her laughter with friends sounds genuine, but her laughter with you feels forced. That difference isn't coincidence. It's emotional separation in action. Disrespect doesn't always start with betrayal. It starts with tone. The way she says your name, the way she sighs mid-conversation, the subtle mockery in her replies. These are all psychological cues. It's her subconscious rejecting your influence, signaling emotional detachment before it turns into open conflict. She no longer tries to inspire you or support you. Instead, she tries to minimize you, often through humor, because mockery allows her to express hate while pretending she's calm. The sound of her voice used to bring you peace. Now it carries tension, sharp edges, and quiet hostility. And once that tone becomes her new normal, it's no longer communication. It's contempt wrapped in words. Sign 2. She publicly undermines you. When a woman begins to secretly resent you, one of the first places it shows is in how she treats you around others. Disrespect in private is one thing. It can be subtle, quiet, even deniable. But when it starts happening publicly, that's when her hidden feelings begin to surface through behavior she no longer bothers to conceal. She'll correct you mid-sentence in front of friends, mock your opinions in group conversations, or find small ways to make you look less capable, less confident, or less respected. It's not always about shouting or open confrontation. It's about small verbal cuts, delivered with a smile while others are watching. Her goal isn't to argue. It's to quietly strip away the image of strength and confidence that once attracted her in the first place. This behavior is psychological, not accidental. Female psychology understands the power of perception, and when she begins to dislike you deep down, she starts using social settings as a stage for emotional distance. In her mind, making you look small in public validates her inner resentment. When she corrects your words or laughs at your ideas in front of others, she's signaling to herself and to the group that she no longer places you in a position of authority or respect. What used to be admiration turns into subtle rebellion. Every interruption, every eye roll, every dismissive chuckle is a quiet declaration that she doesn't see you the same way anymore. She may frame it as playful teasing, as just joking, but her timing is never random. It's always when someone else is there to witness it. That's not humor. That's psychological distance disguised as wit. It's her way of saying, "I'm above you now," without ever needing to say the words directly. When a woman truly respects you, she protects your image in front of others. When she begins to secretly hate you, she starts tearing it down piece by piece, all while pretending it's harmless fun. Watch closely. She'll laugh at your mistakes a little too loudly, point out your flaws during light conversations, or side with someone else during a discussion just to see your reaction. It's not about being right. It's about asserting silent dominance. In her eyes, the social dynamic becomes a power game. Every time she undermines you publicly, she gains a small sense of emotional victory. It's not love anymore. It's competition. And what makes it worse is that she often does it subtly enough that if you confront her, she can easily deflect. She'll call you insecure, say you're overreacting, or insist she didn't mean anything by it. That's the psychological manipulation behind this form of disrespect. It keeps you questioning your perception while she keeps chipping away at your self-worth in front of others. What most men miss is how intentional this shift can be. A woman who's emotionally detached no longer feels the need to protect your reputation. Instead, she begins aligning herself with external validation. The opinions of others become more important than how you feel. That's why she can humiliate you in public and act unaffected afterward. To her, the public setting provides emotional safety, an audience where she can express resentment under the cover of humor or casual conversation. Every little jab she throws is a reflection of how far she's drifted emotionally. The real damage doesn't come from the words themselves, but from the message behind them, that she no longer fears losing your respect. Once that barrier is gone, mockery becomes normal, and silence from your side becomes permission. What begins as a single, sarcastic remark eventually turns into a pattern of public humiliation, each instance designed to remind both you and everyone watching that her respect for you is gone. Sign 3. She stops valuing your time. Time is one of the purest forms of respect. When someone values you, they value your time because it represents effort, attention, and presence. But when a woman begins to secretly hate you, that respect dissolves quietly. It doesn't start with an argument. It starts with delays. She shows up late, cancels plans last minute, or gives you excuses that sound rehearsed. The energy that once made her eager to see you fades into indifference. You'll notice how she starts to act like her schedule is always full when it involves you, yet somehow she finds time for everyone else. That's not coincidence. That's emotional distance manifesting through disrespect for your time. In female psychology, time and attention are emotional currencies. When she's invested, she'll plan ahead, respond quickly, and make sure you feel prioritized. But when resentment creeps in, her behavior changes. The messages take longer to reply to, the tone becomes colder, and her availability turns selective. You'll feel it when you wait hours for a reply to a simple question, or when she reschedules a date without remorse. Her lateness or cancellation isn't about being busy. It's about testing how much disrespect you're willing to tolerate. She wants to see if you'll chase her time the same way you once chased her affection. When a woman secretly hates you, she doesn't always express it through confrontation. Instead, she uses neglect. Neglect is a passive form of rejection. It's how she communicates that you no longer hold emotional importance. The moments that used to be filled with shared laughter and conversation now feel like obligations. She might arrive to see you, but she's emotionally absent. Her attention drifts to her phone, her eyes wander, and her body language screams boredom. Every second she gives feels like charity instead of choice. That shift is psychological. It's her subconscious withdrawing energy because, deep down, she no longer feels respect or desire. Her disregard for your time can also appear in how she handles commitments. She'll promise to call and forget. She'll say she'll meet you after work and then suddenly gets caught up. The pattern repeats because it's not about being forgetful. It's about emotional detachment. She's creating distance without openly admitting it. And every time you accept it, she learns that she can disrespect your time without consequence. That silently reinforces her loss of respect. Female psychology is built on emotional feedback. When she senses that you're still waiting, still accepting, still patient despite her indifference, it confirms her power. The less she gives, the more she realizes you'll still stay. That's when disrespect becomes routine. What used to be excitement becomes avoidance. Instead of anticipation, you start feeling tension every time you try to make plans. You're left waiting for responses, wondering if she'll show up or cancel again. And even when she does appear, you can tell she's mentally elsewhere. She's on her phone, distracted or disengaged, giving you fragments of attention while keeping her full focus on anything but you. That's not love fading. That's contempt growing in silence. She's using time as a weapon, withholding it to send a message she's too proud or too cold to say outright. When she stops valuing your time, it's not about being busy. It's about making you feel replaceable. Sign 4. Her affection feels forced or vanishes. Affection is the emotional language of connection. And when it fades, it doesn't just disappear. It changes form. When a woman begins to secretly hate you, her affection becomes mechanical, detached, and hollow. The hugs feel like obligations, the kisses lack warmth, and her eyes lose the softness that once pulled you in. You can sense the difference even if she tries to hide it. There's no genuine emotion behind her gestures anymore. It's all repetition without feeling. It's not that she's incapable of affection, it's that she no longer wants to give it to you. Female psychology runs on emotional reciprocity. When her heart starts to pull away, her touch follows. What once came naturally now feels uncomfortable, even burdensome. In the early stages of connection, affection flows easily because it's rooted in admiration, respect, and emotional desire. But when those feelings turn sour, every small touch becomes a reminder of something she no longer feels. She might still go through the motions to avoid confrontation, leaning in for a hug, saying, "I love you," or giving a brief kiss before leaving, but everything about it feels off. There's no energy, no spark, no real connection. Her body might be close, but her soul is distant. This isn't physical rejection, it's emotional withdrawal disguised as normality. Her body language tells the truth her words won't. You'll notice how she no longer initiates affection. She stops reaching for your hand, avoids long hugs, and gives half-hearted responses to your gestures of closeness. When you touch her, she might subtly pull back or stiffen. These aren't accidents. They're subconscious reactions that reveal discomfort. Female psychology has a strong connection between emotion and physicality. When she starts to resent you, physical contact becomes unnatural because it conflicts with her internal feelings. The warmth that used to come effortlessly now requires effort she no longer wants to give. That's why her affection feels forced, because it is. Even her words change. Compliments vanish, pet names fade, and her tone becomes distant even when she says kind things. She might still say, "I miss you," or "I care," but the words sound scripted. Her actions no longer support her speech. When she used to show up with small surprises, thoughtful gestures, or random texts just to connect, now there's silence. No effort, no interest, no spark. What remains is politeness, and politeness is the opposite of passion. It's what replaces affection when emotions die, but convenience keeps the connection alive. Her emotional distance also seeps into intimacy. What was once filled with chemistry becomes routine or completely absent. She no longer responds the same way. Her enthusiasm is gone, and her body language screams reluctance. It's not that she's tired or distracted. It's that her emotional bond has fractured. Intimacy for her used to be an extension of how she felt about you. Now it's something she tolerates, not something she craves. The softness in her eyes is gone, replaced by an indifferent gaze that feels more like obligation than desire. She doesn't crave your presence anymore. She tolerates it. The woman who once found comfort in your arms now seems restless there. You can sense the tension, the unspoken discomfort that lingers in silence. It's her emotional disconnection bleeding into physical reality. She's not angry, she's detached. And in female psychology, that detachment is far more dangerous than anger. because it means she's emotionally gone, even if she's still physically near. Her affection hasn't just faded, it's become an echo of what used to be real, a hollow performance masking the truth she's too cold to admit. Sign 5. She starts competing, not connecting. When a woman begins to secretly hate you, she stops seeing you as her partner and starts treating you as her rival. What used to be teamwork turns into silent competition. Every conversation starts to feel like a contest, every disagreement a power struggle. It's no longer about understanding each other. It's about who wins, who gets the last word, who controls the frame. You'll notice how she begins to challenge you on small things that used to be simple moments of agreement. She doesn't argue to reach truth anymore, she argues to feel superior. That shift marks the death of connection and the birth of quiet hostility. Female psychology thrives on emotional alignment. When she respects and admires you, she naturally moves in harmony with your energy. But when resentment grows, that alignment flips. She begins to mirror your strength, not to join it, but to oppose it. Every success you have triggers a subtle competition. She'll downplay your achievements, minimize your opinions, or remind you of your mistakes whenever you try to assert confidence. It's not that she suddenly wants to improve herself, she wants to make sure you don't feel above her. This is when emotional connection turns into emotional warfare. You'll start to feel tension in simple interactions. If you offer advice, she'll reject it on principle. If you express an idea, she'll counter it just to prove a point. She stops listening to understand and starts listening to respond. This psychological pattern comes from a deep loss of respect. Once admiration dies, the instinct to cooperate dies with it. She doesn't want to build with you anymore. She wants to compete against you. The relationship turns into an unspoken scorecard where she keeps track of every time she wins an argument or proves you wrong. What used to feel like love begins to feel like constant resistance. This competitive energy doesn't just appear in words, it shows up in behavior. She might start comparing herself to you or subtly competing for social validation. If you achieve something, she'll respond by mentioning her own success or belittling yours. If you share a goal or idea, she'll remind you of the times you failed. It's not about helping you grow. It's about making sure you never feel ahead. Female psychology often hides resentment behind ambition. What looks like independence can sometimes be emotional rebellion, a quiet attempt to outshine the person she no longer wants to submit to emotionally. Even the emotional tone of the relationship shifts. Connection requires vulnerability, but competition breeds defensiveness. She becomes guarded, sarcastic, and dismissive. Compliments turn into comparisons. Empathy turns into judgment, and shared moments turn into opportunities to assert dominance. The warmth that once existed between you two gets replaced by a silent power struggle. Every discussion feels heavy, as if both of you are keeping score instead of sharing understanding. She doesn't want a bond, she wants to win. You'll also see it in how she reacts to your confidence. When you speak with strength, instead of feeling proud or supportive, she becomes irritated or distant. When you succeed, she feels challenged instead of inspired. This shift is rooted in emotional resentment. She no longer identifies with your victories because she no longer feels connected to your energy. In her mind, being near you no longer lifts her. It threatens her. That's why her attitude changes from cooperative to combative. She's not building the relationship anymore. She's protecting her ego. What used to be a shared journey becomes a quiet battlefield where every word, every tone, every reaction carries the weight of hidden competition. Sign 6. Her respectful silence becomes disrespectful indifference. Silence can be a sign of thoughtfulness, reflection, or even calmness. But when a woman begins to secretly hate you, her silence changes character. It stops being a pause or a moment of consideration and becomes a weapon. Respectful silence transforms into cold indifference. She no longer communicates with intention. She communicates with absence. The words that once carried emotion, affection, and reassurance vanish. Every unanswered message, every delayed reply, every ignored attempt at connection signals more than mere distraction. It signals a deliberate withdrawal. Female psychology shows that indifference is far more revealing than anger, because it requires no effort to insult, no energy to argue, and no accountability to justify. It's a quiet, invisible form of contempt that erodes your position without confrontation. At first, you might mistake this silence for fatigue or stress, convincing yourself she's just preoccupied. But over time, patterns emerge. She no longer reaches out first. She no longer initiates conversations. And when you try to engage, her responses are curt, minimal, and devoid of emotion. The warmth that used to exist in her interactions disappears, replaced by a mechanical and transactional approach. Indifference doesn't just signal dislike, it signals that she no longer feels emotionally invested in the relationship. Where she once showed care, curiosity, and engagement, now she simply exists, present in body, but absent in attention. Every attempt to rekindle communication meets with passive resistance. Disrespectful indifference is particularly dangerous because it erodes connection without visible conflict. Anger is easy to identify, but indifference is subtle. She doesn't argue with you, she doesn't challenge you, she simply stops caring enough to engage. The emotional withdrawal begins in small moments. She stops asking about your day, she stops listening to your stories, and she stops responding to your emotions. Her mind wanders elsewhere, her focus shifts to others or to her own world, and you feel the gap widen. In female psychology, attention equals respect. When attention is withheld consistently, it communicates a fundamental truth. She no longer values you or the connection you share. This indifferent behavior often masks itself as busyness, aloofness, or independence. She may say she's focused on herself or just busy, but underneath lies a deeper, more potent signal: emotional abandonment. By withholding her engagement, she exerts quiet control over the dynamic, testing how much neglect you'll accept without demanding accountability. Every attempt to reconnect, every attempt to express vulnerability is met with minimal acknowledgement. The warmth, intimacy, and validation that once defined her behavior have disappeared, leaving only cold detachment. You'll also notice the subtle ways she avoids emotional depth. Where she once offered opinions, encouragement, or feedback, she now provides hollow agreements or non-committal gestures. Where she once celebrated your successes, she now reacts neutrally or minimally. She's not overtly hostile, but she's creating a vacuum where respect and emotional closeness once thrived. The silence is not absence, it's a statement. It says that she no longer fears losing you because, in her eyes, your emotional importance has diminished. Her indifference is a slow but undeniable erosion of the bond, and it's far more telling than any argument or confrontation could ever be. This transformation from respectful silence to disrespectful indifference is often the final stage before overt conflict or separation. It's the quiet declaration that she has emotionally checked out, that her investment is gone, and that she no longer feels accountable for maintaining the connection. You begin to feel invisible even when she's present, and every effort to reestablish intimacy is met with a cold, distant wall of disinterest. In female psychology, this shift is unmistakable because silence is no longer neutral. It becomes a mirror of her hidden resentment, reflecting the fact that her respect, her care, and her emotional presence have all quietly left the relationship. Now you know the hidden signs of disrespect that prove she secretly hates you. Pay attention to these behaviors, because ignoring them will only cost you your respect, your energy, and your peace of mind. Remember, her actions reveal her true feelings far more than her words ever will. If you found value in this video, make sure to hit the like button, share it with someone who needs to hear this. And don't forget to subscribe for more insights into female psychology and relationships. Leave a comment below with your thoughts. I want to know which signs stood out to you the most.